Welcome to this week's edition of the Strictly Muscles Chronicles. Wanted to keep going along the lines of this internal awareness this week. Specifically, I want to talk about how you can improve your internal awareness to make your exercises even more effective. When I talk about exercise, I really am thinking about everything. And those that work with me on a weekly basis for their strength training or that I program for know that a lot of times I'll talk about execution. And to me, it's not all about just form. That's important. But it's also about what we're trying to focus on. And so that's what I want to talk today is this intention of exercise versus intention, or how well you're developing a contraction in your muscle and why it's important no matter what you're doing. Now, this concept actually comes to me, it was introduced to me through my resistance training specialist course. And it's really what drives my coaching style. It doesn't matter if it's, as we talked about last week with nutrition, developing that internal awareness and that internal skill of knowing when you're hungry or when you're full. That's a big driver in helping people with weight loss. Well, carrying that over to exercise and developing more of an internal awareness is going to help take your exercise to a higher level. And that is valuable because when you're able to take your exercise to the next level by building that internal awareness and building your ability to focus on the areas of your body that you want to use and develop for that exercise, whatever it is, running, biking, yoga, Pilates, strength training, you're going to then get the results sooner. So that's the point of today. I want to go ahead and share with you 3, maybe 4 things that you can go ahead and go, oh, hey, these are some exercises that I do. This is a general guideline, and then you can apply it to everything. So what I want to do is I'm going to be on the bike, and I'm going to show you, okay, these are some things to focus on when you're on the bike. And this came from a client of mine recently. He said, hey, I feel this all in my lower leg. Calves when he's doing the bike. I'm going, why is that? Well, let's go ahead, and I jumped on the bike in our session. I showed, hey, when you're doing the bike, think about doing this. And he brought up some good things that I'll share with you. I want to share with you a yoga position. Because if you can do it in one yoga position, you can do it in multiple yoga positions. I want to show a strength training exercise that's pretty common. That you'll see all over the social media of, hey, this is an exercise to develop this certain area of your body. So I want to cover that with you. Go, okay, this is why. This is how you can make it focus, and you can focus on a certain area of your body. And then finally, since I do work with people with muscle activation techniques, and in one way we can activate those muscles and get them firing so you're not compensating, you're moving better. Well, I want to go ahead and walk you through how that would be with a isometric. And I've learned this from clients over the years, is the more you can think about the muscle that I'm trying to activate, in that area at least, the better results we get. So it's just been a valuable tool to apply it from this thing like cardio on a bike all the way down to this lowest level of exercise being an isometric to improve how your body moves. Now it's time to jump on that spin bike. All right, so on the spin bike. Now the intention is to develop my cardiovascular fitness. That would be the goal, essentially. Now we're talking about this internal awareness, or building that, what muscles essentially do we want to use to move the pedal. As I mentioned a little bit ago, I had a client a couple weeks ago say, hey, you know what, I'm only feeling that in my lower leg, my calves, when I do my spin bike, spin workouts. So I'm going, well, how can we work on that? So this is something to bring that internal awareness, so you kind of have to think about it. What he gave me feedback as I was talking through that, you need to have a certain amount of resistance on there. So pumping up that little bike resistance on my bike. Now, when I do my spin workout, I like to focus on my hips. So kind of my back of the leg and into my butt when I do this. So I'm leaning forward, and on each drive down, so on this leg here, I'm thinking about pushing that, shoving that foot towards the ground, and essentially like you're going up a step. And each side is back and forth, right, left, trying to squeeze the glute, squeeze the back of the leg, and keep that internal awareness, intention, focused through there to do it. Now, this is something new. So it might only be for 30 seconds. And then you kind of lower it down. You go back, if you're reading a book or if you're watching a show,
you can focus on that. But then every once in a while, bring that back in. So then you get to the point where when you're doing your spin bike, you build up your endurance, your mental endurance, to be able to focus on that area no matter what you're doing. So a lot of times I'll watch a TV show on the computer and I'm able to keep that muscle intention the whole time because I've just built up the practice of doing that. And I actually notice it when I'm not focusing on that area of my body anymore. So now what I want to do is show you how to apply this internal awareness during a yoga move.
All right, now we're into yoga and how to apply, or a way to apply, that internal focus, that internal awareness of in your body. You want to focus on a certain area or specifically muscles to do the work. That's what I'm going to show here. Now, I'm not an expert at yoga. So if you're a person who does yoga already or any subset of the yoga family, great. This may already be in your repertoire. Maybe that's already instructed by your coach. And that would be awesome if it is. I've just had the experience of people know that isn't the case. So that's why I thought it'd be important to show how to do this in your own practice if yoga is part of your practice, because it is pretty common. And I do think it's a valuable way of getting some variety into your workout. I actually do yoga once or twice a week to give myself a different challenge outside of, say, the bike or strength training. So a basic yoga position, this kind of warrior pose here. So bringing my arms out, turning one leg in, turn the other leg to the side or the short end of the yoga mat, and I'm just essentially lunging into that position. And you can hold this for a time and focus on all these things breathing wise. But what I wanted, again, the focus of here is to focus on that internal attention. So I want to develop more work being done with the front of my leg, the quads on this bent leg and the outside of my hip on the back trail leg. So what I'm trying to do is essentially push with my front leg. I'm trying to push my toes forward so I can develop some tension in the quads. So that's burning. And due to that, I'm having to tighten up my back hip to fight that push. And that's allowing me, while I'm while I'm in this position, to do that. Now, rather than just kind of sitting in here trying to get a stretch in my groin or something like that, I want to go ahead and use those muscles to develop enough internal tension to build the strength into that, in those areas. Then I'll hold that for a given amount of time and switch everything over. Again, this goes back, what's the goal of this? What's the intention of doing yoga? Are you trying to get mobility? Well, you can do that by developing this muscle pushing you into that position by the back leg. The further you can do that, the further you can develop that mobility or that range of motion you're looking for. But you can also do it while strengthening your muscles too, because that's the important thing. Muscles are meant to be strong and muscles are meant to move you. And that's what we're trying to develop here. Next thing that I wanted to cover with you, exercise. Think of this as a strength or a core training exercise. It's that good old school crunch. Now, everybody thinks about just, okay, I'm going to go ahead and sit down, I'm going to do my crunches, get my 100 or so in, and be good to go. And I would look at that as going, okay, you could be more efficient at that if you actually focused on the area that you want to challenge. Not saying that by 100 you don't feel a challenge. You definitely will. But if you could get to that challenge at 10 or 12 or 15 or 20, it'd be a lot better, more efficient on your time, and it's going to be more efficient here with developing that strength. So you're in a crunch position. You're going to go ahead and just bring your hair. Now the focus here is taking the bottom of your rib cage down to your waistband or your belt line. So what I'm doing, my intention is to tighten up those muscles and think of them like little strings pulling your rib cage towards that point. All right, and then that's easy. That's where you'll feel it the most. When you're then intention of fighting that gravity pushing you back down, and I'm laying my shoulders down, but I'm still keeping that squeeze in my abdomen. That's the skill to get to. What'll happen as you're learning this, you might only feel that, be able to do it like through this little short motion at the top.
And then as you get better, as my clients have over the years, where they can get all the way down here, and I can actually get them to go backwards and arch their back while keeping their abs tight. So again, that work with where you're at, but develop that tension in the area you want to develop it. So if an exercise as common as the crunch, that's your strength training exercise to develop that core strength, well, that'd be the way to do it. Where do you want to feel it, and can you do that in the shortest amount of time? That's efficient, and that'll also allow you to do other exercises more in your workout, so you don't have to do 100 of them. You can get it done in 10, 12 reps and get just as good, if not better, results. The last thing that I wanted to share with you on how to develop this internal intention, and this internal awareness is to use an isometric. So we're covering cardiovascular exercise, we're covering what is deemed a mobility exercise or flexibility exercise with yoga, covering a core strengthening exercise with a crunch, and then we're dialing it down to an isometric. And isometrics can be done with any part of the body. I'm going to show you with a trunk exercise or a trunk position, more importantly, because it's just easy to show. But you can apply it to the shoulders, you can apply it to knees, ankles, hips, every joint in the body you can apply an isometric to. And specifically what I was saying, as I said earlier, was that the focus here is to get you thinking about where in the body are you feeling it? Where do you want the motor to be? Your muscle. What muscles do you want to be the ones that are moving you or holding that position? So I thought the easiest one to show you or to draw your attention to this is with a core exercise where I'm turning and holding that position. So what I'm doing here is I just set up a band, so I'll have some resistance. Kind of think back on the bike, you have to have a little resistance to help with that internal awareness. And so I'm applying an external force, this resistance here, and I'm just going to hold it out in front of my body, and I'm going to turn. And I found it's about all I can turn to this direction. And now what I'm doing is just tightening up here. Now when I'm working with my clients, I'm going, okay, I want you to think about tightening through the midsection on this particular position more than you need to. So that band is pulling me that way. Well, I can kind of just relax here and hold it with my arms, or I can think about, and you have to kind of think about it, hold it through the midsection, the muscles that turned my rib cage to the side. And I'm holding that for a given amount of time. Might be only 6 seconds, might be all the way up to a minute I have them do that. And what I found over the years is that really gets you mentally involved in that exercise. And it might take some time to get that. So if I had somebody holding it for 60 seconds, going, okay, hey, where are you feeling that? There I go, only my arms. Okay, I want you to think about, and I am able to cue them. And then over time, they just know how to do it automatically. That's the value of being able to do that, but it does take time. So if you don't get it on the first try, keep trying. And that's the important thing of being able to take this internal awareness, apply it to no matter what you do exercise-wise, and you'll have better results and you'll keep your body healthier. And that concludes this week's newsletter. I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you for watching. Finding value in this, please share it with your community. Share it with the people that you know value their health and their wellness. Be glad to help them out in any way. Another way to get tips is through social media. So you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. I do post on those a couple times a week with information. And you can find me at Strictly Muscles for both of those. So just look it up on Facebook and at Strictly Muscles on Instagram. Until next week, thank you and have a great week.